The King of the North!
Dracarys.
I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
The long night is coming, and the dead come with it. No clan can stop them. The free folk can't stop them. The Night's Watch can't stop them, and all the Southern Kings can't stop them.
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Eisenfire here, and welcome to the channel. And today we have some very interesting information that has recently come to light concerning the cancelled Game of Thrones spin-off series entitled Bloodmoon, including some never-before-seen images from the set of the cancelled pilot. When Game of Thrones first came to a close, there were a great deal of potential spin-off series in development at HBO. The very first in production was Bloodmoon, which was supposed to be a look at the very first long night in Westeros, including the true origin of the White Walkers, set nearly 8,000 years before the events of Game of Thrones. Originally written and developed by Jane Goldman, with George R. R. Martin serving as co-executive producer, the series would have starred Naomi Watts as a charismatic socialite hiding a dark secret. And here we get our very first look at Naomi Watts in full costume on set, in what appears to be Casterly Rock. In our current story, Casterly Rock is well known for being the home of House Lannister, but back during the Age of Heroes, which this would have been set, Casterly Rock was originally home to the Casterlys. The Casterlys were an ancient, rich, and noble house during the Age of Heroes, who disappeared after being taken over by House Lannister. According to legend, the founder of House Lannister, known as Lan the Clever, managed to swindle Casterly Rock away from the Casterlys. The most common tale told, however, is that Lan coated himself in butter and squeezed into the rock through a narrow gap. Once he was inside, he played tricks on the Casterlys to convince them their home was haunted so they would flee, of which they eventually did. And here we get our very first look at not only the interiors of Casterly Rock, but the exterior as well, as we see a photo of an ancient member of House Stark visiting House Casterly. And according to the official synopsis of the series, House Stark would have played a major role on the show. Taking place thousands of years before the events of Game of Thrones, the series chronicles the world's descent from the golden age of heroes into its darkest hour. And the only thing is for sure, from the horrifying secrets of Westeros' history, to the true origin of the White Walkers, the mysteries of the East, to the Starks of legend, it is not the story we think we know. When the series was first announced, many book fans were hesitant, to say the least, to embrace it, seeing as there is very little source material surrounding the original Long Night, making this an original story set in the Game of Thrones universe that is not created by George R. R. Martin. And fortunately for book fans, they indeed got their wish, as the production was riddled with problems from the start, including dumping over $30 million into a pilot episode that turned out to be so abysmal that HBO won't even let George R. R. Martin view it. The A Song of Ice and Fire author, however, did go on to make a statement in an interview with the New York Times, stating, "If you look at the published books so far, there is really very little material about the Age of Heroes and the Long Night. A sentence here, a sentence there, old man tells the tale that takes up a paragraph, so Jane had to create the characters, the setting, and some of the events." He also goes on to state that they kicked around a few ideas and George himself made some suggestions, but mostly it's been Jane running with it. On one hand, putting faith in a Game of Thrones series that is not based on George R. R. Martin's original writing is a bit of a gamble. But on the other hand, if done right, it could have been a very interesting look at one of the most exciting and mysterious time periods in A Song of Ice and Fire history. That, of course, being the original Long Night. And with it, a much deeper look at the White Walkers. When the main Game of Thrones series concluded, a lot of fans were a little disappointed with the storyline of the White Walkers. What started off as a terrifying and intriguing new villain, the likes of which TV hadn't really seen before, ended up fizzling out into an anticlimactic ending, along with leaving many unanswered questions about the White Walkers' true origin and nature. Answers that might have intentionally been left out of the main series in anticipation of this Long Night prequel, which also would have starred Josh Whitehouse, George Henley, Naomi Ackie, and Jamie Campbell Bower alongside Naomi Watts. But ultimately, it was not meant to be, as the pilot episode did not give HBO the confidence they were looking for when ordering a full series. In an official statement released by HBO, it says HBO bosses said that the first Game of Thrones spinoff was canceled because it lacked the depth and richness of the original series. By all accounts, the production was riddled with problems from start to finish, ultimately leading to HBO scrapping the production after dumping $30 million into a pilot episode, which is far more than the $10 million that HBO originally spent on the Game of Thrones pilot. Not long after the failed Bloodmoon pilot, we heard that HBO had in production a storyline surrounding the Dance of the Dragons, which would later go on to become House of the Dragon, which went on to have a far better pilot episode, leading HBO to have the confidence to order it to full series, which ultimately turned out to be the better gamble, as House of the Dragon Season 1 went on to be a huge success, both critically and financially. But now, almost 5 years after the cancelled Bloodmoon series, we are now getting our first look at that pilot episode, including Naomi Watts in full costume, an ancient Stark soldier at sea, and a look at the interior and exterior of Casterly Rock itself. Overall, I would have liked to see a series surrounding the original Long Night if it could have been done correctly. The mystery surrounding the original Long Night has been one of the most intriguing parts of A Song of Ice and Fire for me personally since I first read it. And seeing as the main Game of Thrones series left a lot of us wanting much more when it came to the White Walker storyline, this could have been a great opportunity to fix some of the mistakes that Game of Thrones made. But unfortunately, due to a less than stellar pilot episode, it looks like fans are going to have to wait until The Winds of Winter is released before we learn a little bit more about the others and their true origin. But that is going to do it for us today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit a like on your way out, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
King in the North!
Dracarys.
I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.